Hey there, it is the Yard Buddha, and today I'd like to talk about Austrian pines, or otherwise known as European black pines. Austria is in Europe, so that kind of makes sense, but I'm just going to show you how I prune them and then also kind of shape them. So this one here I've had for about maybe 2 years, year and a half, and I bought it at Lowe's on discount for about 50 bucks. I work in a Japanese garden nursery, and he sells these for about 300 bucks if they are fully developed and pruned. And so I figured, why don't I try to do it myself and learn a little bit about it. In the meantime, my dog is over there supervising me as well, as usual. So this is a Pinus nigra. Let me see if I can get out the spec sheet here. Oregon green Austrian pine. Pinus nigra, Oregon green, and it can grow up to like 15 feet tall, 15 feet wide if you let it go that way, but I'm just going to keep it in this pot here and kind of try to bonsai it. And pretty much anything that's in a pot can be considered a bonsai. And have cut off some of the branches over the past few years. You can see anything kind of going up and out. And so now what I'm going to do, this is a beautiful kind of fall day, and it's going to go into winter, and this is the perfect time to bend these branches down. And that's what I'm going to do with some twine. And then I have around the sides of my pots, I did this a little bit last year, I have some screws. This is kind of the easiest way, and I'm just going to attach the twine to that and bend some of these down. And then you also, if you want to kind of turn it into a Japanese style plant, we're going to try to make these into big giant kind of palms over here. And the way to do that is you want to prune off the candles each year. And so I've already done that this spring when they were coming up, and that creates more budding or growth on all the candles. So once you cut something back like that, usually you'll get more sprouts, more candles that bud back, and kind of will thicken this into a big giant palm. And so I'm probably gonna lay this one that way, and then lay these ones down as much as I can. And then over winter, because it gets colder, the branches kind of hold in place a little bit more next year. And so this is the time to do it, is in fall. And then you also, kind of to stunt the growth a little bit, I do end up pulling out a lot of these pine needles in between the branches and the palm that you want. So I'll end up pulling all these pine needles out, all these pine needles out. This is all new growth, pine needles like that. So you kind of want to pull them out until you get to the branch structure, kind of like that. Thank you, Max. It wouldn't be a Yard Buddha video without a good neighbor interruption. So I've got this one, and then I also have another one in the ground in my front yard that I'll go show you now. All right, here in my front yard, I have a full-blown Austrian pine. This is not a Oregon green one. And so this one will actually get up to 50 feet tall. You can see it's got much longer needles and it's much straighter. And I'm not quite sure if I can bonsai this, but I'm gonna try. It's not really bonsai because it's in the ground and it's growing a lot faster than my other tree, also because it's in the ground. I'm getting a lot more nutrients, but I'm still kind of trying to do the same thing with this one and cut the candles each spring to create more bud back, which definitely has done. And to stunt the growth on these, you can actually cut these needles in half, which I'm going to end up doing as well. And then I don't have screws or anything or a pot to use the twine on for these, so I'm using these boards with some rocks on them with some screws in the board. So I'll show you how I tie these branches down and get them where I want to go. This one I've left a lot more branches on than I think I'm going to need, just because I don't know quite yet which ones are going to be the dominant ones, but I'm going to end up chopping off quite a few of those, especially those lower ones, I think. So we'll show you when I start shaping these things up. All right, so this is my Austrian pine, Oregon green, after I've kind of cleaned everything out and tied some of the branches down. I know that it may look a little bare, a little austere, but a lot of this stuff is going to grow back again next year. And so my thought process on this is, especially these heavy ones, these big ones, you want to tie those down, and then over the winter, just with the cold, they're going to kind of lock in place. I cut off a few tiny branches. There's a couple like little ones here that I didn't fully tie down, and they're so flexible enough that I'll be able to do that next year if I want to, but I'm not sure if I want to keep those. So I know I want to keep these, so I have tied them down with twine. And then this one up top here, I'm going to bend over next year, but again, it's so flexible that I don't think I'm going to need to worry about it this winter. You kind of want to worry about the ones that are really thick and will not bend that much next year. Alright, so I'm here out in my front yard with this Austrian pine, and I have bent down most of the major branches that I know I want to bend down. And now I'm just kind of looking at the bottom part here. It's a little bit congested, trying to look at what I want to keep and what I don't. And so I've taken out some of the kind of major branches at the bottom, down around the bottom here, because I want to be able to see the trunk from the street and from my walkway when I'm coming up. And so now I'm just kind of looking at which ones are kind of overlapping, and I want to get stuff into space. So unfortunately, you know, nothing grew right here. I'd like to have a branch out in this space, but down here we have too many branches in too much space, in too little space. And so what I look at is, if anything is kind of parallel, like this, they're going into the same space. And so I'm gonna start taking out some of these branches that I know are gonna go exactly where something else already is. And even like this one, so I've got this one tied down right here, and this is gonna come out over into this area, which I don't really want. I just want to have one branch coming out into that area. So I essentially want one major long branch coming out into each area. These lower ones are a little bit more flexible, so I don't think I need to tie them down this year. These ones up top here are starting to get really strong, and so that's kind of why I had to tie them down. Take that out. And this is kind of going over here into this area. And also what I'm going to end up doing is taking a lot of these branches off in between where the branches are up here and kind of the trunk. And this helps kind of stunt the growth on this tree too. I think next year, so this is going to be my top, definitely, but next year I'm going to select maybe 3 of these side ones, and I'll tie those down to go out and kind of grow out, and then it's just going to be a palm, kind of a ball up on top, and these ones should grow out like these ones also. So down low here, like this guy is kind of redundant because I already have a branch going out into that area. So I'm going to take him off and then hopefully train this branch to come out into that area. But this is basically what I'm going to do with this Austrian pine. So maybe I'll do an updated video in the springtime next year and show you guys what this all looks like. So thanks for watching. We'll see you later.